Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our second session today. Just a couple of items of house cleaning items here. So these sessions are for you, and please chat with us, ask questions. So our team is here prepared to talk with you about these questions that you may have. So use the chat box to do that. If you don't see it, it's the three dots on top of the screen. You hover over that and you get to the chat box. As well as please remember there are office hours in the afternoon that we can go to and talk with everyone directly. So lots of different ways for you to communicate with us. And again, thank you for joining us today. In this session, we started today by talking a little bit about visibility into our asset and applications health. Why we want to do this is to promote the life cycle of our assets and boost uptime for all of our users. So in this session, we're going to talk about two different applications that are around managing security with concert solutions to boost productivity for our users, as well as performance, power of AI and automation to solve issues across application stacks, real-time visibility for everyone. And with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to our presenters today. Chris, Mike, and Fanny are going to take us through this presentation. Guys?
Sorry about that. I was on mute. Hi, thanks very much, Kambiz, for having me. And I'm really excited to chat a bit about IBM Concert today. I'll be kicking things off. So my name is Chris Uccioni. I'm a growth product manager here at IBM Concert. So let me kick things off here. Pardon me. So to start things off, we're going to talk about the challenge here that IBM Concert is looking to solve. So modern organizations, they operate in both hybrid and multi-cloud environments. Application life cycles are dependent on hundreds, thousands of tools. And these tools, rather than streamlining processes, they often introduce a lot more complexity. And that's making it harder to gain a clear view of an application's health and resilience. An interesting stat is 14.6% compound annual growth rate in development tools means that more tools are being introduced every single year and compounding that challenge. And as a result of that, teams we're finding are struggling to correlate data across fragmented systems, leading to inefficient troubleshooting, increased operational risks, and slower innovation. So this is where AI steps in, unlocking data-driven insights and eliminating the manual burden of stitching together information across those systems. So this is where IBM Concert comes in. Concert was built to eliminate those barriers created by siloed data and fragmented tools. It's powered by watsonx, and it integrates with your existing environments to provide real-time dependency mapping, operational insights, and AI-driven recommendations that help anticipate and resolve issues before they disrupt business operations. With Concert, you're fully in the driver's seat. Concert allows you to ask questions and receive AI-powered insights. It allows you to visualize application dependencies and resilience gaps. And most of all, or best of all, it allows you to take immediate action with automation-driven workflows. We're looking at Concert as that connective tissue, and it's not just another tool, it's a next-generation AI-powered solution that simplifies complexity, optimizes operations, and enhances application resilience. So with Concert, what we've kind of worked on is this framework, or this four-step process of discover, understand, recommend, and act. And I'm going to go through it at a high level here, and then I think we'll dig a little bit deeper just to kind of unpack what that means. So this four-step process is what Concert follows to turn application data into action. So in the first step there, you've got discover. Concert integrates with your environment, meeting your teammates where they work, and it automatically pulls in relevant data, eliminating manual data stitching. Next, we look at understand. So our App 360, which is powered by watsonx, it uses AI-driven insight and Concert is able to map dependencies, identifies resilience risks, and uncover optimization opportunities. Once it's gained that understanding, Concert's able to intellectually make recommendations. So that's where the third step is. The AI in Concert prioritizes those key insights, offering remediation and strategic recommendations based off of your application's needs. And finally, where I think really pulls everything together is the act phase. Concert enables immediate action, whether it's remediating risks, automating operational tasks, or optimizing resources through connected tools. So this AI-powered workflow eliminates guesswork, and it's helping teams resolve their issues faster, improve their resilience, and optimize application performance, all while reducing manual effort. Pardon me. So let's dig a bit deeper now into each of those 4 stages. As I talked about first, let's look at discover. So Concert eliminates fragmented data silos, as I've said, by integrating with your existing tools, ingesting data into a single intelligent system. App 360, which is at the core of Concert, provides a comprehensive real-time view of your application's health, performance, risks, and dependencies, ensuring full visibility across hybrid environments. Now, this feature helps teams to gain a much more holistic approach. Gain holistic operational insights in one place, identify and address performance issues and security risks proactively. And lastly, it optimizes applications based on business needs and compliance requirements. By leveraging AI, Concert doesn't just aggregate data like many other tools, it transforms it into actionable knowledge, helping organizations make faster, smarter decisions. And next, I will move into the understand phase. So IBM Concert allows you to visualize your entire application architecture, making it easy for teams to see how different components interact. By doing this and eliminating data silos, Concert is able to ensure that no critical information is overlooked, and it helps you to reduce blind spots. Also, teams across development, operations, and business units work from the same data set, improving decision-making. And lastly, application dependencies are mapped with clarity, allowing for faster troubleshooting and more effective impact analysis. With a clear real-time understanding of your application topology, teams can optimize performance, security, and operational resilience. Now to the recommend. Concert's AI-driven insights are able to help teams move from reactive to proactive management by continuously analyzing application data in real time. So with that, there's a few areas I want to touch on. So there's the AI-powered analysis, where Concert is able to leverage advanced AI to detect patterns, anomalies, and risks, providing recommendations before an issue escalates. The next up is holistic application insights. Instead of just disjointed infrastructure data, Concert's able to aggregate security, performance, and operational insights into a single application-centric view. This allows teams to understand not just what's happening, but also why. Third, application-centric intelligence. Unlike other tools that focus only on infrastructure, Concert is able to ensure that all the insights are tied directly to business-critical applications, aligning technical decisions with operational impact. And finally, automated actions. Concert doesn't just provide insights, it automates repetitive tasks like populating incident tickets, assigning ownership, and tracking resolution progress, allowing teams to focus on higher value work. And lastly, this is the act phase. This is where, again, I think this is the most exciting. Concert Workflows is something that's coming now into the product more, is able to provide an AI-powered automation engine that translates those recommendations we received in the previous step into immediate executable workflows. Some of the capabilities or things of interest include a natural language input. What you'll be able to do is simply describe what needs to be done, and our AI will generate a fully formed workflow. There's flexible automation, whether it's rotating a certificate or executing a complex security patch, workflows will scale to match your needs. And autonomous recommendations. You'll be able to define automation rules so that when Concert detects an issue, the corresponding workflow runs automatically, reducing the manual effort and response time. So with concert workflows, teams aren't just identifying problems anymore. They're able to solve them instantly, making application resilience smarter, faster, and more efficient. So now we're just going to dig into some of the key features around this. So this slide here is a really great summary of everything we've just said. We talk about the how. How does concert work? It discovers, it understands, it recommends, it acts at scale. The why are we doing this? Reducing risk, improving resilience, cost, etc. But what I think is really worth looking at is in this chart, which is, again, illustrating all this, is how concert's broken down. We're looking at two postures, if you can see from the area over here. I think that's my cursor there. So there's postures. You've got your risk and your resilience posture. Within that, you have a variety of use cases. For the purpose of resilience, we're looking at defining goals, monitoring, analysis, etc. And then it looks at the observability level, all the different tools that concert can connect in with. But just that's a nice broad or high level summary of everything we just kind of looked at. And digging into application resilience, which is one of those two sides there that we were saying, what we're able to do here is, again, following that story of how concert's working, it's unifying that data from different tools, giving you that holistic view. It's allowing you to set your objectives and also automate the remediation. Some interesting features about our resilience posture is you're able to monitor resilience across 90 different metrics and integrate with your existing tech stack. You're also able to get expert-backed recommendations based on IBM SRE and consulting best practices. And again, talking with the AI story, you're able to leverage AI-powered workflows to identify and resolve those risks. So this last slide, before I pass it over to Mike as he talks about the Instana story, is just a kind of overview of what resilience looks like today and how resilience will look like with concert. I won't go into all the different parts here, just to kind of speak through some of the larger benefits. But we're looking at items like data unification, giving you that, everyone's looking for that single pane of glass for data in different tools. But it's offering you a complete view of application resilience. It's that real-time visibility, the reduction of cost, and the continuous assessment. But I think what's really interesting is reducing the skill barrier. You're using AI to help understand issues and recommend remediations. So with that, thank you all for your time. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Mike. Mike, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. And yes, so I'll be talking a bit about IBM Instana and how does IBM Instana concert play together. Chris said in many of his slides, a big part of how concert works is it discovers your existing data from your existing tools. Well, if you've got an observability tool that's observing your infrastructure and your applications, you're completely comfortable with what you've got, concert will play directly with that. This part of the discussion is for people who are seeing the changes in the industry that are causing their current observability monitoring tools to have problems and not serve them, which is where IBM Instana plays. So a lot of the macro trends that we see in the industry are causing rapid change, right? Things like the move to cloud, things like new technologies in orchestration engines like microservices and Kubernetes, things like AI now being built into our applications. And of course, all of the speed that we now see in the environments as far as the need to push things out much more quickly and be able to handle change. So those are the macro trends and the technology changes that we see, which ends up with a lot of data overload. We hear from a lot of people where the amount of instance and events that they get is crippling their organizations, causing friction between the different gaps where they may be using different tools for different parts of their observability, and the complexity of the infrastructure as there's some on-prem pieces, some cloud pieces, and dealing with that hybrid reality ends up in business waste, right? And that's where, as far as why this is very important is, a lot of customers that have these problems where, your releases for a mobile app are slow, that can cause you a lot of millions of dollars of annual revenue impact if your competitors are rapidly responding to the market. Over provisioning, right? That's another big waste that we see if companies don't have a good grip on what infrastructure is the minimum that they need to run their applications efficiently. And then, of course, the increased incident response, if you're not aware of all your dependencies, can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars per incident. So those are the macro trends. On the next slide, we get into some of the more specific things that we hear from our customers. You can go ahead and progress, Chris. Where if you are wrestling with any of these in your company, this is a good indication that we need to move from monitoring to observability. So some of those pains on the left, if these resonate with you, like if you've seen 4+ hours of mean time to resolution when something goes wrong in your environments, or if you are spending a lot of time on manual work to be deploying and correlating your different monitoring tools together, and seeing siloed insights, right? Those are some of the examples that we see of where those are problem areas that something like IBM Instana observability can really help out. It has a lot of the capabilities that are built for modern cloud native architectures. Instana was built in the time when Kubernetes already existed, so it's aware of all of the modern technologies that we have. It was built in an era where cloud existed, and it's been adapted to handle AI, both from using it internally and to being able to monitor your applications that have that included. So those are the key things that Instana does is from the core, look at your full stack, understand what's in your environments, and being able to adapt to that in real time. And bring you just the data that you need to observe and handle the monitoring of your applications. So next slide. There's 3 core principles of IBM Instana observability that really help to define where Instana can help out and why it's differentiated in the market. And we'll go into each of these in a bit more detail, but the first is the context. And I look at that as the what. So what are we looking at? What is your applications? What is your infrastructure? In looking at hybrid, both on-prem and cloud, connectivity between that and putting that all in context of your applications. That second pillar, there's AI, and I look at that as the how and the why. So this is really how do we handle the problems that we've got, and why are we struggling with those, and what's the recommendations to solve those problems. And then the third pillar there is automation, and this is where we want to take action and do that very, very quickly. So some of these can actually be done in an automated way without a human. So next slide. We'll dig into context. So this is now where we start to see what's happening. So the first column there is looking at your automatic sensor deployments that we've got, and being able to look at what's in the environment. Instana does support over 300 technologies from an auto discovery perspective, and really eliminates all of the manual configuration to set up and get an operational dashboard together. So that's one of the beauties of a very quick adoption and reducing that manual labor, is doing this stuff automatically. So Instana was built to give you as much as possible out of the box, and then you do the minimum amount to customize that for your own applications and for your own environments. The second column is now starting to look at the open telemetry based data integration, and this is where companies are definitely starting to shift left and move some of the monitoring into their own applications, and let's say supplement what is coming in either through the automatic sensors or replacing that all with open telemetry. A lot of the companies that do this very well actually do both, right? That's a very fast path to get telemetry into something like Instana. And then on the right is the real-time insights with the 1-second data granularity. This is really what is fueling all of the smarts that we saw with what Chris was showing with Concert, is getting a lot of these insights. So what your applications look like. You don't need to rely on something like a CMDB that's more of a static view of what's going on in your environment, because your observability tools already discovered that and brought that to the table. So that gives us a lot of the context that we need to see what's happening, and then takes us to the next slide. And this is where Instana is now applying the AI to understand how and why what we're observing is happening, right? So I kind of look at it as like the first part is it's going to read you the news, it's going to tell you what is going on, but then you always want to understand the why. So the first column there, that's really the best case, right? That's where we're seeing something trending, and you're getting a predictive automated anomaly detection to let you know there's impending failure if you don't take action soon. So this is where the IT folks that are using Instana really look the best because they've gotten ahead of problems, they've solved things before any customers were impacted. The second column now is where there is an issue and you've got to figure out what's going on. A lot of issues that come up, may come up because of a change that was maybe understood what the impacts were, but because you've got the full knowledge of what's going on in your infrastructure and your applications, Instana uses AI-powered root cause analysis to really suggest multiple probable root causes and where it's finding that information from. So if you've got a team that's spread out across different applications, different infrastructure, this really gives them something to start from. So when something's gone wrong, they don't have to start to create a bunch of guesses as far as what's going on. The tool's already providing that for them. And then the ability to connect into your application gives you the intelligent alerting and smart alerts. So those can be set up, again, automatically. So based on how your application is defined, you can connect your teams with that, and they can only focus on the critical issues for their area. And that's also a dynamic alerting. So as your applications change, the ability to alert people can also change and keep up with the changes in your environment and your organization. So this is what I look at when you've got a backstop. You need to make sure that your end users are getting their applications. Think of your mobile app, right? If the mobile app is slow to respond, if it's not responding, those are all things that can instantly be alerted and be caught ahead of time as that AI is looking at that graph and seeing things before they're becoming problems. All right, next slide is the automation piece of this. So Instana is very much looking at the intelligent remediation and connecting with automated runbooks. So if you're already a mature IT organization and you're already using runbooks, you're using a tool to do runbooks like Red Hat Ansible or StackStorm or different automation tools, Instana can connect with your existing runbook provider and integrate those in, and then connect those in to, let's say, some of the more day-to-day situations that happen, and actually allow you to run those. So if they're low-risk items that allow you to prevent disaster in the middle of the night, those can be automated and run with Instana. If it's something brand new, something that has not been seen before, that's also where the out-of-the-box runbooks help that we provide for a set of use cases in Instana, and also can create those on the fly. So we also have the ability to generate the runbooks and evaluate those to see if those are the right responses to your answers. The second piece is synthetic monitoring for your proactive testing. And this is now starting to use Instana in a way that gets proactive and gets ahead of problems. So taking your unit tests, for example, and running those in your dev test environment. So any changes that your developers make in a rapid way, you can catch problems before they get out to your customers. And then, of course, the third column there is continuous monitoring of your deployments and feedback loops. So connecting to things like your Jenkins or your CI/CD pipeline, anything your development team uses to get the code out the door, connect with that. And then we can also do A/B testing against that and what's out in production. So if there's any changes, again, trying to catch things before they're impacting your customers. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. And this is where I want to start to bring together what Chris was talking about with Concert and what Instana is doing with the observability solution in several use cases. And the main thing that we're talking about here is, aligning different sets of users together, right? So a lot of what Chris was talking about is looking at folks across your entire application. And some of those folks may be your application security folks who are very interested in risk, right? That risk was one of the areas Chris was talking about. So if you've got a security focused team member and they are responsible for critical vulnerabilities, they may be using some of the industry tools that provide critical vulnerability detection across your applications. And those are very important to monitor and see. And what we do with the integration is we bring together automated correlation of what Instana is discovering of your environment with what your application vulnerability scanners are finding. So if you've got a list of 200 vulnerabilities, Instana can tell you where those vulnerabilities are in production automatically. We don't have to manually do that. That allows us to do this second feature there, which is visualizing this in something like Concert, so you can see how many environments am I looking at? Is this 2 or 3 environments? Are these my production environments? Are these development environments? Let me get a business sense of what's going on with my vulnerability scans. And then we can turn that risk over to Instana as well to help with the risk assessment and bring in some of those factors, such as, how close is this vulnerability to a firewall? Is this something my customers will be exposed to immediately, or is this something that's more internal? And we've got ways to maybe work around this while we solve these problems. So again, this is bringing together 2 different users of these tools with common information that will help them both do their jobs. So next slide, we're gonna step into a use case that we're gonna see a live demo on. So that will be the next piece here is actually see this in action. And the first thing that we'll see is in Concert, actually getting this visibility of your runtimes. So this is where Instana is doing that live discovery, and it's populating things in Concert to show what does your real-time environment look like. And this is really where the power of a good observability tool in Concert comes together, because you can start to identify how many things are affected, where are my greater risks, what does the business look at this as far as the vulnerabilities. And that really helps your security teams make that connection. This is one that really improves the trust of what's being brought to the teams when there's security assessments made, because you're basing this actually on real information that's in your environment. So the customer value here is that you do reduce time and effort, so you're not having to manually create these things together. You've got a good visual mapping of what your environments look like with your security risks, and you get to improve your risk posture, because as these things come up, you start to realize that you're doing a more accurate job, you're doing these more quickly, and that you're actually increasing your maturity and lowering your vulnerabilities as we go. So the second use case is the next slide. This is where we're looking at the Instana user, which may be typically your SRE, your IT ops people. And when the security person taps them on the shoulder and says, okay, a very important vulnerability has come in, we need to address it as soon as possible, normally panic might set in for the SRE that says, I don't know where those vulnerabilities live. Well, with this integration, we're continuously doing this mapping in real time. So the SRE can now look and say, for a specific vulnerability, here's exactly where it's deployed in my environment, and map to the infrastructure, so you can get the right infrastructure owners together, and to the right application owners. So, depending if this is a critical customer-facing application, you can start making mitigation plans immediately, or maybe it's a back-end inventory restocking type application to where some outages and some changes could be acceptable. So again, helps you with the reality of what's going on in your environment and connecting that back together, so the SRE knows what to do and isn't blindsided by that. And of course, the values there for the customer are having that centralized view and being able to assess all of the vulnerabilities. And the last piece where that's very useful is, some customers we work with have maybe a patch cycle where they do things very periodically. And when they do their patch cycle, they want to address all the vulnerabilities. This is another way to connect what's coming from those vulnerability scans to your environments. So if you're working on a specific infrastructure or a specific application, you can actually get all of your vulnerabilities addressed by bringing these two tools together. So with that, I will turn it over to Pani, who will give us some live demonstration of this work in progress.
Thank you, Mike. Let me share my screen. Yes, as you rightly pointed out, Concert and Instana are two very powerful tools to help the application owners and the SREs to go about their daily activities, right? So this demo aims to show the solution, which aims to provide SREs with a detailed, centralized view of CVEs and their status within the runtime environments. This level of visibility allows teams to deploy patches effectively across all affected systems, minimize the risk of unaddressed vulnerabilities, optimize the security and resilience of applications with less manual effort. By automating these processes, SREs can focus their time ensuring the system reliability rather than juggling reactive tasks. So here's how. Consider you are an SRE and you have received a notification about an incident, or you log in to Instana to see what are the open incidents which are there today. So this, you're greeted by the home screen of Instana, and you can directly see that there are 23 incidents which are open right now. So you may choose to click on viewing all the incidents to see what is happening in each of these incidents, right? Maybe you want to sort it by only the incidents which are open right now. So let's choose one of the critical incidents which are open. Here it says memory usage, high memory usage on a particular container. To investigate more, you jump right into the container dashboard. So you are greeted with all the important information and also the stack of where this particular container is running on, what are all the endpoints that it provides, what are all the service, what are the application that it is part of, and you're also greeted by the Kubernetes stack, and that is, it is running within a single Kubernetes cluster, Kubernetes node, and the namespace. So which will give you enough information to dig deeper and to investigate more on why this incident happened and to resolve this incident. So you might notice that you see that there is one open issue, and also there are 21 vulnerabilities which are affecting this particular container. This information is coming from Concert. So as you can see the container dashboard, you're greeted with the vulnerability, the critical CVE information affecting this particular container, and also the incidents. So this helps SREs to make sure that when the container is being patched, all the critical CVEs are also patched along with the issue or incident which is being remediated. So you can jump right in to view what are all the detections. So in Instana, we have two notions. One is the CVE, which is a higher order event, wherein a CVE can be residing on multiple individual Instana entities. And detections are each instance of the CVE, which are present on each single Instana entity. So you can see that there are 21 detections here. And if you want to view the details of this particular CVE, you can just click on this entity and you can see that the CVE is coming from the integration between Instana and Concert. This is the container image on which the CVE is residing. This is the description of this particular CVE, and you can also get a view of what are all the applications which are actually affected by the CVE. And I think Instana is the only observability platform to indicate the actual number of calls which are impacted and affected by this particular CVE. So if you're interested to know more about how this application is being impacted, or if you're curious to know about all the affected CVEs or all the open CVEs on this particular application, you can jump right into the application view where we have built a new tab called as vulnerabilities tab, which gives you visibility of all the open CVEs, that is all the open detections. There are 392 instances of each CVEs, which are being affected within this particular application. So you can go about making sure that all of these vulnerabilities are not really impacting this particular application, and make sure that your application is secure, risk-free, and reliable. And if you want to get an overview of all the vulnerabilities which are affecting your platform, then you can jump right into the vulnerability center here. So this provides all the active CVEs which are available in your environment, and you can make sure that you can sort the CVE by the severity, and each CVE detail gives you an indication about the affected applications of this particular CVE, the amount of calls which are being affected by this CVE, and also the affected entities, that is each individual infrastructure entity where the CVE is actually part of. And to know more about remediation, you can click on this button to jump right into the concert view. For example, once you click that button, you're greeted to this vulnerability detail page within IBM Concert, where you can get another set of information, more information into how to mitigate this particular CVE. So since Concert is backed by watsonx AI, so AI understands the whole topology of your application, of your environment, and recommends a mitigation strategy which you would like to take in order to make sure that this CVE does not really affect your application and your environment, and make sure that your application is risk-free and reliable. And you can also make sure that corrective actions are being taken as soon as you're made aware of the CVE by just clicking on each individual instance where you want to apply the patch or make sure that you want some person to investigate this. So you can directly open a ticket on GitHub, Jira, ServiceNow, or Salesforce with the ticket details and also the recommended mitigation, so that the corresponding person who is looking into this issue can make sure that the CVE is mitigated as soon as possible. And you can also make sure that you jump right into the blast radius of this particular CVE. So you can see that this is a critical CVE, which is affecting 5 packages, 20 build artifacts, 2 applications, 2 environments. Yeah, so you can directly see the blast radius of this particular CVE. And if your environment changes or your application topology changes, you can always use the watsonx AI recommended mitigation strategy. So this recommends the mitigation strategy on demand and online, making sure that your latest information, the latest topology is being considered when proposing a mitigation strategy. Yep, here you go. Hope this helps. Back to you, Mike and Chris.
Lonnie, are we finished with your presentation?
Yes. So I also wanted to inform that we are available in KubeCon and SRECon. So we have a booth set up. So if you're interested to know more about how Instana and Concert are integrated, how we are enhancing this integration, the upcoming steps, and the solutions that we are aiming to provide, then please reach out to us in the booths in SRECon and KubeCon. And yeah, and if you want to know more, you can also reach out to us directly via email as well, and we would be happy to help you.
Very good. Thank you. What a great session. I learned so much, and I think I've only taken 3 pages of notes here, so I had a lot to write down. Thank you for all the information, and I'm very happy to attend this session. Mike, I think I want to address this question to you. The question is, with so many different applications and an overall topology that are typically restricted with our clients, how do IBM solutions like a Concert or Instana help our clients navigate through that? Could you help me with that, please?
Sure. No, that's a great question, and that is something that we do run into very often with our customers. And when we say that the topology is restricted, I'll kind of give 2 different answers here. One, if the restriction is due to a tool limitation, right? I think sometimes we get that where some of our tools that we purchase are only good for certain, let's say, on-prem products. Maybe some others are only working real well with like hosted hyperscaler cloud products, and maybe a third set really only work well with the mainframe, right? Let's say there's maybe 3 different groups. So something like a good observability tool that can break through those barriers will definitely give you that visibility you need. In talking from an IBM Instana perspective, it covers all 3 of those environments, right? It has the mainframe capability, it has the hybrid on-prem capability, it can deal with the hyperscalers and all of the services that they actually run as well to bring you that single tool across all those topologies. Now, on the other side of the answer is, let's say there's an org imposed limitation, right, which we also sometimes run into, and especially as we're looking at things like the risk and the vulnerabilities, right? Those may be restricted to certain people, and that's where Concert, I think, plays in very well, is giving you a multiple sources that you can bring in the topologies that you've got, and they all go into what is called an evidence locker. So if you're doing things like risk and resilience at a posture on top of all of that data, you can bring it in from multiple tools that you have and stitch those things together with the, let's say, the role-based access control. So only the people that need to have access to that data can, because for many customers, that's a very sensitive thing. And then the AI will work on what it's allowed to have access to. And if anything, doesn't look complete or doesn't look correct, it will bring you the results from the evidence locker that was brought into Concert. So, I think Chris said it best, like, you're in the driver's seat with Concert. Everything you can bring into Concert, it can map together and show you. And Pani was showing kind of the demos there at the end where you can see that whole, what we call the arena view of all of the environments that you've got. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that was a fantastic answer. Thank you. You triggered something else on my mind. With technology business management and our application lifecycle management under it and what we're trying to do, tell me, why is this something important that we have to think about now? And when we go back to our regular job, it's something that we have to consider and act upon it. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it comes down to those business results that we're looking at early on. With these trends that are happening, out there in the macro trends that we're seeing happening, these are impacting real bottom line business. So, we're seeing if your mobile applications are slow to respond to changes or to problems, your competitors will take you out, right? And we've seen this in all of the industry verticals that there are. So the time to act is now. If you don't have something like a concert where you can get a hold of your risk and resilience, you're at business risk, right? And that's the why
Sure.
now.
Yeah.
From an Instana
Yeah.
perspective, if you don't have a good view of your application, your infrastructure, you're going to be slow to roll out applications and keep up with your competitors. So yeah, very strong calls to action here.
That's awesome. And when you say you, who's typically working with these kind of application or this kind of concerns, I should say?
Yeah, and from a concert perspective, you've got a lot of your application owners, the business people who are responsible for these applications. Those are typically the people who care the most about risk and resilience. From the Instana perspective, you're looking a lot at your SREs, your site reliability engineering team, and your IT operations team, who are typically responsible for that quality of your overall applications that your customers see.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Again, I thought this was a fantastic session. I learned a good bit, took a lot of notes, and have some follow-up conversations with the team. I want to thank our audience who joined us in this second session of Technology Business Management today. We have a couple more sessions coming up. Don't forget, we have our office hours later on this afternoon where you can all join in and talk to our presenters directly and ask questions, and it will be a good session for us to do that. We will also highlight one of our partners during that time. At this stage, if I believe there's a poll out there and there are comments about our sessions. If you think this was a really good sessions and it was done really well, please go ahead and comment on it. If you don't think that was a good session, don't worry about that. Just bypass that whole area altogether. Go to your next session. I'm just kidding. Do whatever you like to do. We always want to learn more. We always want to know what we do well, what we don't do well, and can work on. So we really appreciate your feedback on that. Continue working with us, continue talking with us. If you have not selected your next sessions, please go ahead and do so. It will start shortly and we'll continue our day with our newer sessions. All right. Thank you all very much. Have a fantastic day. Thank you all the presenters very well. Thank you. Have a great day.